Are you looking at all the great work you've done?
Well, it's mediocre work, but it is a great testimonial to a man's will. We got the fenders kind of there. Still work on the fender skirts, but all 4 fenders are attended to. And it brings to question what's going to happen with the windshield. That's for Victor. My task is to make the doors at this point open and shut with a latching mechanism. So there's still a bunch of work to be done to finish up the structure and the edging on the doors, but most importantly, we're gonna need a way to close the door. You can see there's nothing going on. We got 2 handles and a loose piece of sheet metal, that is. So we're gonna get into that this time. Okay, so with the doors and the latching, Victor and I discussed maybe doing suicide doors so they open from the rear. The issue with that is this curve here would create a real obstacle for a hinge mechanism. We have to get in here, do a bunch of cutting, and create some kind of a single hinge, because if you put 2 hinges, like you'll typically see on a straight door jamb, the door is not gonna work. And you also have to reach around this big fender. So we decided, in lieu of anything uber fancy, we're gonna leave the door hinges as is. But you know Victor, that could all change. So I'm gonna simplify my mission and put a good door latch on it, so at least it opens and shuts. We'll probably put electric poppers in it. That is a...
It's like, what is an electric popper in here? Let me fix your microphone.
Consider, here's a perfect example, the way that we walk up to our new car with the key fob and it unlocks. Some doors you could make actually just open by an electric thing.
Fancy.
So the old school way would be to have like a hidden switch. Sometimes you can kick under the fender or anything, or you just have a designated button. This car has no roof. It doesn't need door locks. You could just step over the door. But Victor talked about that in his supercar episode. And a lot of people asked, couldn't you just step in the car? Yes, but Victor says, you know what? In my seat, no, he didn't say that. He said, I'm no spring chicken anymore. And I want to bring my feet that way.
Right.
Not over the top. It's going to be up hard enough to get in and out of this vehicle because it's so darn low. We're going to need to have a steering wheel that is, if not telescopic, at least adjustable. So in the name of comfort, we're going to make these doors swing open. So he brought me these parts in his box of stuff. It's called a latch in and stack -01. That probably means something else, but it definitely says latched. Install kit probably means that. These are your typical, they're called bear claw style latches. Don't get nervous, Jamie.
I'm afraid of bears.
So it's pretty simple.
It's true.
This is your door, right? And when it shuts, the little thing shuts. And then you got your thing for that. I deleted the lock portion of this. That's this little thing with the bolt. So if we do want to lock it, we can just move it back into play. But I thought in the interest of simplicity, we're not going to have a lock on it at all. So you have that with a metal piece to weld into the door. And then you have the pin, striker pin, with this that you weld into the car. So when the door shuts, voila.
There it is. Whoa. There it is.
So yeah, the idea is to get this lined up in the car so that it latches nice. This, fortunately, is adjustable. That's why they give you this with the little box, so you can move the pin around and position it exactly should you need to.
I've never seen door latches be installed in anything.
A lot of people may not have either. That's today's good news forecast.
All right. If the video seemed a little blurry in the beginning, I just got stronger readers on.
I'd like all of our viewing audience to put on their reading glasses because it's about to get technical. So this is one thing that I'm always concerned about with this style latch. It seems for me, I get in and out of the car a lot, and I'm just like, you know what I mean? It's like this thing is hooking on the belt.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one critique I would give of these latches. But we're going to use them because they work great. And getting into the car like this, you're going to tend to scoot across that.
Mm-hmm.
So I've reversed them at times. I put this here. But with this really sharp curve, you know, this plate is dedicated flat. So you're going to have a weird, ugly flat spot on that. I mean, you're going to have a flat spot either way, but it'll be minimized because we can curve this plate just a bit.
Oh.
And then this will hide out in the door. I was looking at it yesterday, and our door handle is here. So, I mean, with a simple cable or bar or whatever, as you pull that, it'll pull that, and you got action, right? So that'll be pretty straight ahead. Take that out, connect it. And I was looking at this here because we're going to need to have access to this to get to this. And when we paint it, we need to take it out and put it back together. So I was thinking this would sit somewhere right around here. And you see, that's not really out of position regarding that curve. There is a gap, but being that it's inside the door, it doesn't look as obtrusive, I don't think, as having a big flat spot out here.
Right.
So I think we're going to go with that. I made a couple marks yesterday.
Like at a lot of car shows, like don't they usually have like one door open to like look inside? Well, I guess in this you wouldn't need to though.
Yeah. Well, that's a debate. So like with customs, traditionally they're shown closed, fenders, hood, doors shut.
Oh, really?
But this is more of an exotic. Yeah, because a muscle car is like, it's about the engine, it's about the mechanicals, you know. A lot of times it's like a production sort of a car body that's just hopped up to go real fast or perform. But the customs are a sculpture, a work of art, much like this car. So, yeah, I think I made a mark on the fender yesterday, and I think we're just going to stick with that. That puts the door latch pretty much dead center on this leftover stamping. So we could start with that. If I have to enlarge this hole, so be it. So we could push this in and out. We could also reach under from here, but that gets increasingly complex. So let's just commit to that. And if you're doing this for your first time by yourself, just commit to it. You could always just cut this out and change it if you mess it up. So I might mess this up, but I'm just going to commit to it.
Commitment.
That's right.
I like it.
That's
Mr.
right.
Roussel.
That's right.
The real Ian Roussel.
As the great Kermit the Frog meme with the hood on says, do it.
Aw. Ian's getting a lot of use out of this thing.
Look at this thing. We're getting a lot of welding burns in it. Got footprints. We needed some dog fur. It'd be perfect. So I'm going to put this on here backwards because that's just our measurement of how big this plate is. And I'm going to trace that here. I'm going to trace that here where it ends. And pretty much just use that as the straight edge, like such.
There, now it's focused.
Yeah, so this is pretty much just going to blip right into place. So let's cut that out and see what we're working with. Yeah, it's going to set right in, but we are having interference now with the Cadillac door metal. So I think we're going to just open this right up. Yeah, I'm just going to open that right up to there. So now, let's set this in. Yeah, that'll work out decent. Just like that. So before I commit to this, I'm going to open and shut this a number of times and verify. We might have to sneak this way or this way a little bit, depending on where this is contacting the other end of the equation. So maybe I'll just tack that on right there. Just gonna touch that with the welder just a wee bit. Around, I don't know. How is this going to interact with this panel here? See how that latch, see how far it comes in? Mm-hmm. So I was thinking our pin would be here. See those marks I made? Mm-hmm. Turns out our pin is going to be here, which makes it nice and easy to work with. Because our door we want to shut right at this point. I like it. I really like it. I'm going to weld this right in. This might be one of the shortest, most successful videos we've ever done. Those words are always spoken at the beginning.
You just jinxed it.
We tack this in a little bit better. Turn that welder down a bit. I'm going to cut this off. I'm just going to use this to start the weld. There's a little gap that I don't like. Cool. So that's pretty darn hot. I don't want to mess it up too much. But see the mismatch here? Mm-hmm. I was doing that because typically standing up, you're not really going to see that. So I'm going to hammer this in. The idea is when you're looking through here, that looks like a pretty good radius. So I'm going to get the hammer, I'm going to knock that in. Because, I mean, indoors, in any kind of fabrication, you know, you'll always have different contours, etc. So I don't feel like that's a deal breaker right there. Controlled version of just banging it with the hammer. I'm just using that pinpoint. I'll set that right here and just put the business right where I want it. See that? I took it right into position. There it is. Perfect. All right, so we got that touched. This will require some finishing, but I think that all in all will hold it. Yeah, that's in there. Cool. All right, so what we want to do now is shut the door and put this in place and see where it's going to land. So that's what we're seeing. See the latch is coming in right there. Mm-hmm. So let's just see if this is going to fit or are we going to have to cut that? No, we have to. Yeah. Very close. We're going to have to trim that. We're going to have to trim this a bit. And that's not a deal breaker. The weather strip will go around that. You know, this is larger than it needs to be. That was just a blank that we're messing around with to form it. So that wants to come in at this height here. I'm gonna mark it in betwixt. And it's gonna cut this out for the moment. And then we're gonna have to do something like this, I'm sure, later to get this to set in there. So So that is latched. So you want to float this in position like that. Yeah, just like that. So I'm gonna get a piece of steel. So we want this to be sitting right there, basically. That's gonna be pushed back a little bit. But I'm gonna put a piece of steel in right here to hold that. So I have to build a bit of a box. Actually, I'm gonna curve this a bit. Just gonna put this in a vise real quick and try to bring that down. And I'm gonna lock this pin with the wrench right in the center. So see how this has the ability to be moved around?
Mm-hmm.
That's a good amount of adjustment. You know, so if your weld isn't 100% perfect,
Oh, wow.
yeah, you can adjust a little bit. It's a nice kit. I don't know where it came from. It looks like one of those reproduction ones that is extremely affordable than, you know, the original ones. But just like our Facebook profiles, everything,
There's only one real one.
everything gets compromised. So in our perfect world with our shrinker and stretcher, we'd make a nice radius out of this. That's not going to happen because we got a box. But if we put this in the vise, I don't know, we could do 1 or 2 or 3 things. But I think I'm going to hold this with this, and I'm going to hit it with a hammer. I'm going to put some leverage on it like that.
Oh, is your answer. Hit it with a hammer.
Yeah. So I want it to bend. You see how this comes in and spot welded in here. I could bend it after that, but I want the maximum amount of radius. So I'm going to use this as our bopper. Let's take that in a little bit. Do the same on this side. Put some pressure on it. Give it the hammer. That looks pretty curved. Let's compare that to the door. Yeah, see, so that works. It's a lot more cleaner.
Nice.
Yeah, so we'll put this in place. Close that door.
I feel like I could put one of these in.
That's why we're doing this.
Honestly.
You're going to do the next one.
Ooh.
So I'm just going to use this to hold that. Yeah. So you can see, if I get this leveled out like that. Actually, it feels, see, when I let go, it wants to do that. I don't know why. I don't know if that's a deal breaker. Ideally, we want a piece comes in. And we can always trim this out to make it look different from the outside, but we need some real strength right now. So I'm going to fit up a piece of sheet metal to that curve. We grab the shears and a piece. Cool. We're just going to trace. Let's go like that. Trace that curve on it. Yeah. Good and good. Take that little harsh edge off. Okay, so we got this. So that's there. When this comes back through, again, not a perfect world till we're completely finished and latched. I've done this a number of times, and there's an eternal amount of fiddling until it's just right. This thing, yeah. I'm gonna open this up so I can get a finger in there, because that's gonna be latching, unlatching a lot.
Oh.
Proper. So we got that. And that shuts. And this to come onto it like that.
Oh, okay. I see what you're doing.
This outer piece doesn't exist right now. That is just going to get cut off.
Oh, you're just using that to help guide where it's going to go?
Yeah, I'll explain in a sec.
Okay.
Looking down the lane. So see, this is a straight shot. So this doesn't exist.
Ah, okay.
So what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to use this in the big cutter. I'll be right back. Because this is curved. So actually what I'm going to do, I'll put this on here because that is like that. See? I spoke so soon. It's going to be the easiest one ever. That hits it like that. It's coming in like that. That is there like that. So that is there like that. You're doing everything in reverse. Right, cool. So see, it's not a straight shot, it's that curve. So that's coming in. It's latched. It's got to cut it off a little bit. That keeps messing with us right here. Yeah, perfect. This sets in just like that.
Oh, okay. That makes complete sense now to moi.
So this is the part that's very delicate because we are just tacked on, but we have to test it. So see, our door is shut just where it should be, but sometimes the pressure of the door closing on the latch will deform our mounting point. But let's see. Yeah, so see, there was pressure in there. It twisted. So now it doesn't latch. Oh, wait, there it is. Did latch. Oh, I can pull it into shape. Yes. So this is really twisting as it shuts. You can see it right here. But I don't think that's a deal breaker. I tack this. Let me turn that welder down. I'm going to try to reach the welder in as far as I can and grab another area to weld. Put some more strength in it. All about triangulation. 3 points of contact. Let's see what that does. Should flex a little less, but it may not unlatch. Oh, it's unlatched. But see, that's the knob I was describing. It's tough, but it shuts perfectly. So what I've done with some of the other cars is once this was installed, I've sanded this down, I've minimized it and put a little ball end on it. I mean, the door is shut where we want it. I think I'm going to commit to that. We're going to really refine this. Stay with me. Just trying to get it attached. We got a good grab right through here. Can you see the weld on that side? Gotta get some mark. To see where this weld line is, we don't need this part of the metal. We just working with this kit as it is in its generic form. Just trying to use as much of the kit as we can and make it work with the Cadillac. Improvise, yeah, so see, now we're getting some strength here. See how I took all the excess away? Starting to just bring this into a shape. It looks like it's supposed to be there. In other words, your interior of the car is going to come through and grab that latch. This will be capped right through to here if it shuts. Yeah, groovy.
That sounds nice too.
That's how it's supposed to sound. A nice clunk.
Super good.
Grooving. I like it. All right, so it's going to be all sanded up and clean, but now we're going to put in this piece here. So that's going to be interesting because we're going from a square to almost like flat nothing. So let's turn off the welder and experiment with a piece of paper. All right, so this is a little bit bent too, but we can remedy that. This is kind of a, without redesigning this and putting a tube in there, I don't want to mess with that. We're going to commit to that. So we have pretty much just want to cover that up, right? But you know what? I think we could just do this. I think we just shrink that right into shape. We're going to hit it here. And we are going to, where's the edge of that tube? So if I was to bring this down in one shot, I would have to stretch this entire panel to create the curve here. So I think we're just going to stick with this right through. We're going to make an angle and back to the shrinker stretcher.
Yay.
So we want this to go from that hard edge to follow this up. So let's take a look at that with the door shut and see if that's going to be our final height. Just looking at it through here, looks like you can really minimize that right through that point. So what we're seeing is that this hard radius doesn't need to be there. That was just a quick trim when I was fitting the door up. It's all at this point trying to make it look as smooth as possible when you open the door. And still have a little edge for the weather strip at this point. It's not really to keep rain out or wind out. It's a roadster. It's just so when the door shuts, it's got a nice little rubber bumper to make it sound like a properly closing door. Yeah, cool. So we'll make this come in that, and then it will cap that off. And we'll cut that out in metal once it's done. Let's make a little piece on the brake. So this is the leftover piece from the tail light adventure. Talk about money. Let's cut that off.
Use what you got.
Yeah, nice. Put that in the brake. We'll save that for the other side. Yeah, perfect, just like that. Cool. So what we have to do is shrink this to get that to fit. So I'm thinking start through there. Like that. I visited a fellow's shop yesterday, and he had the proper shrinker stretcher stand with the foot pedal. I think I might need that the more I do this stuff. Because you can just hold it and go with your leverage of your foot.
Well,
Yeah, I like it. So I'm going to draw this. That's going to end. And then I'll just trim that. I'll trim that once it's tacked in. See, that's like I'm doing here. That's all refinement in the end result. Yeah, that looks cool. That looks cool. What are we missing? Yeah, I think we can work with this, and I'll just trim it out as we go. That is a little bit right there. Take the corner off. And I got a little interference in this corner. It's something you'll have to deal with every fabrication that's kind of freehand like this. You know, your welds are going to get in the way of your next panel. That's all I'm doing. Clearing it out. Cool. That's a good start.
I like it.
So with something like this that has some pretty loose parameters, I'll get into that in a minute. I want to tack the part that I like the most and save it, so to speak. So I'm going to tack right here because that fits perfect. Then I'm going to look up here, and I want this just to get a little bit flatter. I'm going to hit it right all the way through right here. So I got the two parts I like most dialed in. Sweet. Now, this actually works perfect too, but it's gonna need a little bump with the hammer right there. That's a keeper. Cool. That's what I was saying right here. I like it. It's gonna lose that. I can get up under here and weld that together. But I'm gonna focus on this because we got somebody sitting in the passenger seat. I ain't trying to burn nobody.
It's me. I'm the passenger.
So I'm looking at this, following it right down. Check it before you wreck it.
Let's make sure. I meant to remind you.
Uh-huh. Check it before you wreck it, Roussel. It's my new name. See all these squiggly lines over here?
Mm-hmm.
That's where I was heading. So I'm gonna try to do that half and half. I'm gonna bring this down a little with the hammer. And there's a tube in here. I might have to get in there with the grinder, but let's see now. So yeah, it's touching on the door side, but that's cool. That looks good too. We weld that up. We got a little mismatch right here. The other cutting I had done, but I'm just gonna piece it in. A little bit of metal. Just leave that in the welding. So you see how that trigger could wear out after time.
Mm-hmm.
So a significant amount of grinding and finishing to this.
It looks great.
Yeah, we're just fouling here. You can see the scratch right there. I just got to get under here and cut that out with the
Where is
grinder.
the scratch?
That's the tube in the door hitting. So let me clear that out.
Gotcha.
Okay, so see how we're starting to get this line where it comes through. You know, we're trying to just create this all the way through. We have this now that's exposed. So I'm going to just come in with a piece of sheet and just finish everything in the same manner, all the way around and down. But looking at that, that doesn't look bad, right?
No, it looks really good.
Yeah, so even though it's not perfectly smooth, you can still get in there. I mean, even though it's not perfectly contoured, you have this flat box in there. Once that is set up with a door panel, that's all you're gonna see is that. Go into the door handle. The door shuts, just like that. So I think we'll put electric poppers in it, where you're not reaching all the way down to that door handle if you don't need to, but.
Yeah, I want to see electric poppers. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, so how would I explain that? It's a magnet. It's an electromagnet. So there's a little canister with a magnet in it with a rod. And when you press the electricity button, it pulls that rod. Dunk. It pops the door. So that does not in itself open the door. There's a little spring on a plunger that you'll typically put down in the corner that makes the door pop open. So it's a two-fold system. A lot of times you'll drill right there and put your little spring. When you press the thing, it goes dunk.
Fascinating.
That's a wrap. Now we just got to do the same thing to the other side.